Hello. We had eggs and French toast today. What, the lights are bright. What's going on? I think Matt Falvey evidently has a lot of influence in the kitchen because he recommended a burger bar not that long ago. And today he recommended eggs and French toast. And I just want to say sorry, Joe Stein. Okay, so anyway, thanks for the eggs. Love breakfast for lunch and dinner. Welcome to the Rotary Club of York. We are the 26th largest club in the world, a people of action committed to serving to change lives. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. Lee Ann Wilson will be leading us in our opening song, You're a Grand Old Flag, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation will be by past President Gordon Freirick, and Sean Kenny will introduce our visitors.
So as you may know, yesterday was Flag Day. June 14th, 1777 is when the United States approved the design for our first national flag. This is not a national holiday. Pennsylvania does recognize it as a state holiday. So in that honor, we had a special request to change up our song and do the Grand Old Flag. I was happy to make the change, and then I realized I didn't know all of the words. And I thought that might be the case in the audience as well. So to add more specialness to today, we're going to do patriotic karaoke. So I will warn you that this version goes quickly, so try and keep up. Please join me in singing You're a Grand Old Flag. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, and there's never a boast or brag. But should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag. Well done. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is History Day. In June of 1864, the trauma of the Civil War was still fresh in the minds of York County residents. It had only been less than a year since Confederate troops occupied York Center Square and a few days later moved on to nearby Gettysburg. Taking a leap of faith, the First National Bank of Glen Rock opened its doors on June 1st, 1864, with $50,000 in capitalization. Not so coincidentally, the words "In God We Trust" first appeared on an American 2-cent coin that same year. It is perhaps appropriate that today we celebrate the founding of what would become PeoplesBank 158 years ago, and 158 years of "In God We Trust" on our currency. In God we trust. So may those words be ones to live by for all of us. Amen.
You know, I'm not going to mention names, but we've had some fellow Rotarians have a difficult time introducing guests. So today we're going to do visitor introduction karaoke as well. So if you all join me, no, just kidding. I'm pleased to have the honor of welcoming the guests to today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Jackie has welcomed you. Visiting Rotarians, we have Tom Gemmel from Lancaster. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for joining us. Guests, we have Steve Altland, guest of our speaker today. Coyote Malomo, guest of past President Ann Drunk. Aaron Rank, guest of President Jackie Summers. Miss Pennsylvania, Megan Sinisi, guest of past President Brian Tate. Kristen Ventry, guest of Ted Ventry. I got that right. And now here's the bell ringer. Tom Caltagroni. Did I get it? I think he said yes. So we can meet with him afterwards to get the proper pronunciation. So Rotarians, help me welcome our guests. Thank you.
I don't think Sean's in a position to be making fun of other people who have presented our visitors. Do you? I don't know. He's a rookie. We'll have to have him do it again. Visitors, you've sat, but thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you find this program to be very informative and enjoyable, and that you'll plan to visit us again often. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. The Youth Exchange Committee meets tomorrow, June 16th at 12 noon via Zoom. The IDEA Committee will meet on June 20th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. We're looking for volunteers to help with our Get Hooked on Fishing program for city youth this summer at Kiwanis Lake. If you're interested, please contact Ashley Etzweiler. There's still time to sign up for the Lebanon Cemetery tour this evening from 6 to 8. I don't think it's going to rain, but if it does, the rain date is tomorrow, June 16th from 6 to 8. Today is the deadline to reserve your tickets for our night out at the Revs with our friends from the Lancaster Rotary Club as the Revs take on the Barnstormers on June 22nd. We ask that you RSVP to past President Rob Bowen for both the Lebanon Cemetery event as well as the baseball game next week. And Rob, I'm going to ask you to stand for a second, if you don't mind. Rob Bowen has just done an outstanding job this year in bringing us a wide variety of fellowship and networking opportunities. Thank you, Rob, so much for all you do. And a reminder for each of you to bring a guest during the remainder of June and also the entire month of July. And if you do that, you'll be entered into a drawing to win a pair of tickets to your choice of a Philadelphia Eagles home football game, or a Baltimore Ravens home football game, or a Penn State home football game. And thank you, Christoph and Fox 43, who have generously donated these tickets. The York Daily Record just released a list of York County's most influential people for 2022. And we are proud to tell you that 26 Rotarians were recognized in their respective categories. I also want to mention that Cal Weary was recognized in 2 categories, activism and social justice, as well as arts and entertainment. Eric Menzer was also recognized in 2 categories, business as well as sports. And the daughter of Rotarian Jean Ream, Rebecca Ream-Weigel, was recognized in the category of politics, as was Ellen Fryrick, wife of past President Gordon Fryrick. Rotarians truly are a people of action and real difference makers in our community. Congratulations to all the recipients. We still very, very much need host families for our youth exchange students that will be coming into our country for the first time in several years. We would love to have you sign up as soon as you can so that we can get them squared away so we know that they're going to be able to come on time the end of this summer. And so if you have interest, please contact anyone from the Youth Exchange Committee or Walt Tilley, who's here with us today. If you have questions, he's here to answer them. Please, please seriously consider being a host family. It's an incredibly rewarding experience. And I did mention that York Academy Regional Charter School graduated their very first class since they started just last week, I think, or the week before. They just recently graduated. And Michael Lowe asked if we could share the following. It was a monumental day in York Academy and York County history. The class of 2022 is academically accomplished, balanced, culturally literate, and college ready. Nearly all of them qualified as National Merit Scholars, and all of them will be attending college. In addition, one of the graduates holds the prestigious honor of being a finalist in the National Merit Scholarship Competition, which resulted in a full scholarship to Vanderbilt University. In total, the 12 graduates received over 140,000 in scholarships. Everyone at York Academy is extremely proud of them. They were trailblazers at York Academy, and they'll certainly be change makers in the world. So congratulations to Michael Lowe. Congratulations to Dennis Bachman. Well done. I know you're both very, very proud of this first class. And now for our member moment. Do you recognize him? You might want to wave. Jim May grew up in Dover and is a 7th generation York County native. Sports has always played a significant role in his life as he was a star soccer and baseball player. After graduation from Dover, he decided to apply to York College just weeks before school started and was surprisingly offered a scholarship. After 2 years of playing soccer for York College, he was offered a full ride to play for the University of Maryland. But loyal to York, he chose to remain and earned his degree in business management. When he graduated in 1972, he was the all-time leading scorer in soccer, a record which stands today. He's been inducted into 3 sports halls of fame, a distinction only 2 people in the county hold, a charter member of the York College Athletic Hall of Fame, the Central York County Baseball Hall of Fame, and the York Area Sports Hall of Fame. Jim has been the leading scorer in York College men's soccer history for 51 years, with 71 goals and 29 assists in only 42 games. He was a 2-time All-American and was invited to try out for the Olympics. He's a rare 2-time winner of the Daniel Kleindienst Award as the York College Outstanding College Athlete. While in college, the military draft had just been reinstated. But then later it was announced that December 7th, 1972 would be the last draft class. And just 10 days before the draft ended, when Jim was certain that he was in the clear, he received his notice, making him one of the final names called in the United States draft. After active duty in the National Guard, Jim started his career with the York Bank and Trust Company, now M&T, where he was a member of the senior management team, retiring after 43 years. He and his wife, Linda, have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Jim's son, Dan, is a fellow Rotarian, and he also played 4 years of soccer at York College. Jim enjoys travel centered around history and unique experiences, including the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic and the 70th anniversary of D-Day in Normandy. He's been a Rotarian for over 20 years, serving on the membership and program committees, and has proposed about 10 members to the club. He rarely misses a meeting and believes strongly in service above self. His only regret is not joining the club sooner. Jim, thank you for your many years of dedication to Rotary and for your service above self. And now President-elect Glenn Miller with a Yorktown Hotel update.
Thank you, President Jackie, and good afternoon, everyone. A number of years ago, in advance of the closing of the Yorktown Hotel, I was asked by our then president to oversee the search for a new home for our club. That led to our coming here to the Country Club of York, as well as to the move of our offices, first to the Red Cross building and now to the YCEA building. As the long anticipated reopening of the Yorktown Hotel now draws near, I know that the question on the minds of many of you is if and when we will be returning to the Yorktown for our Wednesday luncheon meetings. And so it is my task today to share with you that for the foreseeable future, at least, we will not be returning to the Yorktown. The hotel's management team of Patrick and Michael, whom we have been very fortunate to welcome as new members of our club, have explained that conference and convention reservations in business, which will understandably require the use of their ballroom, are already in place through early 2023, and that situation is anticipated to continue well beyond. In short, having their only large meeting space unavailable every Wednesday for 2 hours simply isn't possible. While I know that this is a disappointment for many of you, I would close for today with 2 comments. First, the success of the Yorktown Hotel is paramount in all of our minds and vital to the success of our beloved downtown York. If that success is assisted by us not having our meetings there, I think that is assistance that we should be happily willing to give. Second, since the day that we left the Yorktown, we have been very fortunate indeed to have had a comfortable, convenient, affordable, and welcoming home here at the Country Club of York. Brian, the CCY manager and a fellow Rotarian, has been and continues to be delighted to have us here, and we are indeed fortunate to be able to continue that relationship. If anyone has any questions or desire for conversation about this, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to talk. And oh, by the way, we will be having an off-site meeting at the Yorktown sometime this fall, as soon as we can schedule that with them, so that we can go and visit our old home that has been made new. Stay tuned for that announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. And Rob, I'm thinking we do a networking opportunity, fellowship opportunity on the rooftop bar when it opens. What do you say? I think that'll be great. Thanks for all your hard work on this and for finalizing what we've all been wondering for so long. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce past President Brian Tate, who will introduce Miss Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much, President Jackie. I will be very brief because you hear from me all the time. You don't have an opportunity like this. Megan Sinisi was crowned Miss Pennsylvania 2021 last June at the Appel Center for the Performing Arts. She's a native of Altoona, and she has some great words to share with you about her year of service and her dedication to her social impact platform and the competition this week. So I give you Miss Pennsylvania, Megan Sinisi.
Hello, everyone. It is so nice to be here with you this almost afternoon. We have been hard at work at the Miss Pennsylvania Scholarship Foundation to put on a tremendous show that will be taking place in downtown York this week. Tonight, we will get the competition kicked off, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about that in a moment. But first, I wanted to share about myself. I'm Megan Sinisi, as introduced. I'm from Altoona. I was born and raised, and I was actually the first woman to ever be born and raised to win Miss Pennsylvania from Altoona. And I was very proud of that, especially because my family immigrated to America from Italy in 1921. And it just so happens that the Miss America organization was born in 1921. So I had the pleasure and honor of a lifetime to represent Pennsylvania, our home, at the 100th anniversary Miss America competition, which was so synergetic with my family's American dream being placed in Pennsylvania. And as I have represented our Commonwealth this year, I have traveled nearly 40,000 miles across the state, zip lining back and forth, promoting my social impact initiative. It's called From a New Perspective, and it's all about inspiring autism acceptance. So with that, I'm also a speech language pathologist. So what I've done with my career and my background in education is I've utilized my social impact to combat the misconceptions that surround autism. It's very often that those on the spectrum, and the spectrum is very broad, they are put into boxes, or there are there are different misconceptions about them where they're expected to not achieve certain things in life. So what I've dedicated my time to is challenging those and showing the world what people with autism truly can do and what they can accomplish. And one thing I'm very proud of is that I've established a podcast, which is now streamed in 35 countries. And with that, I have specifically invited actually autistic people onto the podcast so that they could have a platform to comfortably share their story and also demonstrate the certain things that they don't have access to and resources that need to be made available to them to succeed and thrive in our society. So I have also earned a master's degree in speech language and hearing sciences from the University of Missouri. And that has only been made possible because of the Miss America organization. Over 6 years, I didn't get involved until I was actually 20 years old as a sophomore in college. And I really needed scholarships. I was attending the Syracuse University as an undergrad, and it's a private institution, so it's very costly. And I found out that the Miss America organization provided scholarships. And since then, I have earned over $33,000 in scholarships through the Miss America organization. And just over the past year, I've earned $21,000. So it's truly changed my life, and it has awarded me the opportunity to pay back student loans much quicker than I would have been able to otherwise. And at the Miss America competition, we did celebrate our 100th anniversary, and I was very proud to hear Pennsylvania called for the Women in Business Scholarship Award, where I was given $10,000 and I was named the top recipient of the award out of all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And that was, in and of itself, it felt like I had won Miss America, and I wish that at the time we had to wear masks at the competition, and I wish I could have seen my face, because I think my jaw truly hit the floor at that moment. And the thing that I was thinking the whole way up to the podium to accept my award was, did they just say $10,000? And tears filled my eyes, because that really changed my life in an instant. And I know that the Rotary Club is invested in service opportunities and changing our world through service. And that's exactly what the Miss America and Miss Pennsylvania Scholarship Foundation also does. We have 24 candidates vying for the job of Miss Pennsylvania. And please notice that I did call it a job, because that's truly what it is. I've dedicated my entire year to serving our communities and serving the autism community specifically. But this year we will see which one of those 24 candidates will be able to step into my shoes and hit the ground running with whatever cause that she chooses to promote. But specifically, we're really excited to continue to highlight York as our home and the host of the Miss Pennsylvania Scholarship Competition. And I would also like to welcome you to the Appel Center for the Performing Arts. We are going to have our preliminary competition tonight and tomorrow. And from that, we will determine our top 10 candidates that will vie for the job of Miss Pennsylvania on Saturday, June 18th. So you can find tickets on theappelcenter.org. There is a live stream option if you would like to watch from the comfort of your home, but I will share that our candidates have been working tirelessly to put on a phenomenal production. And I'll give you a little insight. Our opening number, I'm a baton twirler, and there might be a little bit of fire batons involved for the first time. So I will be performing on stage, and we would really, truly love to have you as part of our competition so that we can demonstrate to you what incredible things young women in Pennsylvania are doing. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my story. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of you if we have the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Megan, congratulations on all your accomplishments with Miss Pennsylvania this past year. You make our state very, very proud, and we thank you too for that outstanding platform that you've chosen. We wish you much continued success as you work with that. And now, the incomparable past President Mike Summers to introduce our program.
Megan, no disrespect, but President Jackie is my Mrs. Pennsylvania. All right, on for our program. Cadorus Valley Bancorp is the parent company of PeoplesBank, the largest financial institution based in York. Cadorus Valley Board of Directors appointed Craig L. Kauffman as President and Chief Executive Officer effective October 1st, 2021. Succeeding long-serving CEO and Rotarian Larry Miller, who retired after 50 years with the bank. Larry's here. Let's thank Larry for all of his work. PeoplesBank traces its roots and origins to the southern part of York County. As Gordon mentioned, in 1864, the small town of Glen Rock came together and pooled its assets to start the bank. It now has more than $2 billion in assets. Craig's ascension to president and CEO followed his serving as executive vice president and chief executive officer at Cadorus Valley from 2018 to 2021, and as a member of the board since 2019. Prior to joining Cadorus Valley, Craig served as the regional president of Pennsylvania for BB&T, and hopefully he'll elaborate a little bit on all of his other time here in York County with other banks that he served. His prior career experience included leadership positions in corporate institutional banking, commercial banking, and retail banking. Craig currently serves as vice chairman of Millersville University Lombardo School of Business Advisory Council, president of the Safari Club International Foundation. And Craig and I had a fascinating conversation about Safari Club. So maybe in questions and answers, he might be able to touch on that a little bit. And board member of the Lancaster County Safety Coalition. And he also served as past chair of the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. Craig has an MBA from Penn State University and a BS in business from Millersville University. And he graduated from Penn Manor High School in Lancaster County, where he was named Distinguished Alumni in 2019. Craig will review the progress of the bank, the markets it serves, and several of the initiatives underway at the company. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please warmly welcome the president and CEO of Cadorus Valley Bank Corp. and PeoplesBank, Craig Kauffman.
Thank you, Mike, and it's good to be here. It's good to hear. You know, I was sitting here reflecting as we were going through the early part of the program. Our news is filled with so much bad things, isn't it? But look at all the good things that are going on. And look at the people that continue to make a difference every day in our community. So I applaud Rotary for their efforts. Megan, I got to tell you, it's hard to follow Miss Pennsylvania, I know. I'm going to have a lot of people sleeping here shortly, but I just reflecting on all the good things that has happened in our community. And it doesn't happen unless people like you and organizations like you commit to do it. And I'll talk in a minute about how I think we align very closely with our core values and our mission at PeoplesBank. Mike asked me to reflect on York because we were just talking at lunch briefly, and I said, you know, I live in Western Lancaster County, I guess I can say now for 2 centuries. Like I just landed there and that's where I've been. And I've moved around a lot over the years, but I came to York very early in my career, and it was March of 1990. I worked for a company called Core States Bank, right? Some of you are smiling because I have a lot of old colleagues that are in the audience today. And I remember I arrived at 12 East Market in 1990, and I went down to get to my office and they said, well, you're here, but not here. And I said, I don't know what that means. Well, we have this little issue called asbestos, and we've closed the building, the Core States building, for remediation. So we're moving you down the street, and your first office is going to be at the Yorktown Hotel. Now, I was in the basement of the Yorktown Hotel for probably 6 months or maybe a year till that was all completed. I'm sure it's a lot nicer now. And I look forward to visiting the new property and encourage you to get down there when Rotary has the chance to get down there. So thank you again for the opportunity to join you today. I'm always excited to be here. It's great to talk about our company. We have a lot of passion about our company. We have a lot of passion about our history, about where we're going. And I hope in a couple minutes I have to share with you today, I can give you a little insight. Just as a reminder, we are a publicly traded company, and we trade on the NASDAQ under CVLY. And I'd encourage you, I'm not going to get into any financial conversations today or forward-looking statements. If you go out to our website, you can find all that good information out there, including a current investor deck. So with that disclosure, let me talk a little bit about PeoplesBank and why I think we make a difference in our community. Our company is $2.4 billion in size. And you know, the very nice, generous introduction today, I believe the capital number was 50,000. Did I hear that right? 50,000. We've grown to a $2.4 billion company. We currently we have just shy of 350 employees, 347 employees to be exact. We operate 24 full service financial centers, 6 what we call retirement community locations located in Lancaster, Cumberland, and York County. And we also operate in 2 states, Maryland being the second state. A little visual of our footprint. You can see where we started in Southern York County. We've grown and expanded the whole way down to Baltimore. We do a lot of business in Baltimore, probably in the Maryland market between Baltimore, Hartford County, close to 50% of our revenue comes out of Maryland as we've grown south. And that's a little bit of the demographics that has shifted over many years and how our customers have moved and the opportunities have moved with them. So that's a little bit of our footprint. And like in our core markets, an interesting attribute is that for banks less than 100 billion in assets, we are #1 in market share in the communities we serve. So that's pretty impressive when you look at the Bank of Americas and people like that we take them out of the comparison. So a relevant, vibrant community bank. One of the things that is near and dear to my heart, the older I get, the more I look at, why are we doing what we don't? Why are we doing what we are doing? And what's the purpose behind it? And I think more and more, particularly with the new generations, Megan, you spoke a little bit about this with your purpose and what you're trying to accomplish. It's really important to know what motivates you and why you do what you do and why when you get up to go to work, why you're doing it. What's the impact? And we spend a lot of time in our company talking about this. We have Steve's been here, of course, Larry's with the company for many years. We actually start our executive leadership meetings talking about this slide, which we can memorize upside down and backwards, talking about specifically what is our mission as a company, what is our vision, and what are our core values. And we start every single meeting on this slide. And where it becomes relevant and I think accretive to our efforts as a leadership team and then as a company overall, as you know, sometimes it's easy to talk about all the great things you do and the good experiences you have when you're trying to do something and accomplish something. Hey, we made this loan, we onboarded a new customer, whatever it might be. It's also a great filter for when times are difficult and you have to make hard decisions. All of us lived through COVID as a recent example. Hard decisions to make when you're dealing with employee health and when you're dealing with the health and welfare of the community, and yet you're managing people's assets. You're the financial conduit to their success. PPP loans, which we'll talk about in a minute. What does that mean? We have no idea. And literally 6 weeks later, we're a conduit for PPP. So understanding what you do, why we do it, and how we do it is really important. And we never lose focus of that. We talk about it all the time. And very, very important aspect of how we go to market and who we are. So it's very simple. We focus on our clients first, allow them to understand their dreams first and foremost, and do what we can to help them achieve their dreams. We also spend a lot of time on our employee base, our associate base. And those of you that are hiring people today, it's a really easy market, isn't it? No, it's not. So this has to be intentional. And I suggest it has to be ongoing and genuine. It can't be situational. You truly, to become a place where people want to work and thrive as employees is a mission, and you earn that day by day. And then lastly, obviously, if you're doing that right and things are going well, you have an opportunity to return yield to shareholders. So there are our primary constituents, and this is how we go to business every single day. Talk a little bit about our employee base. What you might know this, but there might be a factoid or two you don't know. 347 employees, right? Of our base, 119 of our employees volunteer in not-for-profit organizations. So let me say that again, 119 out of 347, significant number. 32 of our members serve on boards across our footprint, 32 in board leadership. 85% of our associates, well, let me ask you a question. How many know somebody from PeoplesBank besides the guy in front of you? Yeah, look at that. It's deep, isn't it? Very deep. The activity and the engagement is very deep. 45% of our positions are filled internally. Our retention rate is 85%, and that might sound low to you, but in our industry, we actually ahead of our industry on our retention rates. Understanding with the nature of the jobs and so forth across our footprint, some of them lend to part-time work, temporary work. So we have a very high retention rate, a very good internal fill rate. 77% of our employees are females, 10% are minorities, and 41% of our associates, excuse me, 41% of our associates are actively are alternatively working. I have to get the right word here. Hybrid working, I guess is the right example. But 41% of our workforce is not necessarily in the office day by day. Now, what's interesting is I like to read all the formal polls and all the formal data and all that stuff. And so I have a very sophisticated way of looking at how people are responding to work at home. And that is I look closely at our parking lot. Now, this might perhaps be a little anecdotal, but we were commenting at our executive leadership meeting the other day about how the parking lot is starting to fill up when people aren't necessarily asked to be back in the seat. In fact, now you can't park in the front row and not even the second row anymore. If you're a little bit late, you're kind of at the end of the parking lot. So what we're finding is that people do like to get together and do like to work. And then one more anecdotal point, we just had 8 interns come in and to our company for summer work. And I met with them the other day and I said, I have a question for you 8. This is the future workforce. I said, how many of you would like to be in the workforce, working in the office with the team, or prefer to do your projects remote? All of them, 100%. We want to be in the office. We don't want to be remote. We did 1 year of college remote, and we've lost a year of our life. That was our perspective. So it's really interesting to see how this plays out as an employer, how your workforce attitudes are going to change, and how people are going to view, their job. And especially when you need technical support and people like that, it's going to be an evolution as to what the current workforce evolves to over time. But I do see a shift, and we just see it anecdotally. More and more people are looking to come back. So redefining banking. I could ask a quick question here, and I will. We'll do a little informal poll here. How many have some type of relationship with a bank? Raise your hand. I'm going to assume that's 100%, pretty close, right? How many on their iPads or on their phones have the bank icon? Okay, that's, I don't know, maybe half. That's probably more than half, actually, the way it looks, right? And how many of you in the past year deposited a check online? Whoa, that's more than I thought. Wow, okay. Needless to say, the business is changing and technology is driving a lot of what we do. Now, I have 2 children, one's 30, one's 26, and they remind me all the time that, they moved, my daughter moved to Boston. She never changed her bank account. And I asked her about that when she moved there, and she said, well, I don't need to change. I direct deposit on my payroll. I can put my check in that you send me when I need something. It's all good. Very, very different than it was even 10 years ago, and certainly what it was, 30 years ago. More importantly, looking at the delta of change, what does the future look like, and how does this look? Well, at PeoplesBank, we've evolved to what we call technology center, connection centers, where one of the things we try to do is provide financial mentorship for our clients. And if you have a chance to visit one of our connection centers, I encourage you to go in and actually discover your dreams. Our team will help you walk through a series of questions to help us understand, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? What do you want to accomplish? And then they'll link those objectives up with solutions and things they can do, whether it's to go to school, fund a retirement, buy a house, whatever the case might be. Understanding the needs of the client becomes 101 for driving the business of banking. And we're doing that not only in person in our financial centers, but through our web applications, our technology format, which allows you to go in, create your own vision board, as we call it, and allow you to view what you want to accomplish. Now, that might be a little far stretch for some of you, but believe it or not, you see the young people doing this stuff all the time, and they like pictures. They like to have an understanding of where they're going and what that looks like. Very, very critical to the future success of understanding client needs and, more appropriately, positioning the bank resources to meet those needs. I left with you on your table, you'll see a little handout. It looks like this. Please find it and take it home with you. But this is information about GDP, about what's going on in the market. We like to advise our customers on information as we can to help them make informed decisions. We do that routinely, particularly in our small business middle market applications. Part of our goal is at People's Bank is to be a financial mentor. And one of the best ways to do that is allow customers to make informed decisions about what they're looking to do and how to go about it. So any way we can help in that regard is an endeavor for the bank. And again, it comes back to our mission, trying to make our community a better place to work and helping our clients thrive. Now, there was a day and age, I remember, and Larry, you can appreciate this. I'll see a smile, I'm sure. Remember when there was no computers in banking? Right? I mean, there was, and that happened literally in my lifetime too, because I remember in the 80s, back when I was an auditor, we'd go into banks and we have all these manual ledgers, and like, wow, we have to, and they'd say we'd have to manage, we have to reconcile the manual ledger and the computer, and we're not going home until they hit, right? Well, times have changed a little bit in that regard, but technology and the use of technology has become probably our #1 expense item outside of our employees. And it's just changing the way we do business. It's changing the way we conduct our business and internally. Understand it also changes the way the regulators look at us, the auditors, a lot of dynamic changes. Now, one of the interesting aspects is that, as a community bank, you're constantly questioned with, well, how in the world can you be relevant from a technology standpoint and be a little bank? And I certainly understand the intent of that question. But one of the interesting things that has happened the last 5-10 years, and it's really taken off, is the emergence of fintech, and everybody has their own understanding what that might mean. But think about this, there's so much technology out there and evolution around it that it's actually created a huge supply of these solutions that quite frankly become affordable. And they compete against each other over time. You can find out which one has better features, functionality, things like that, and they quickly evolve. So a lot of this tech, these are all technologies that we use inside our company, whether it's a client-facing platform or internal. And there's more going to be up on the screen a year from now. Constantly looking at ways to automate and create efficiency in our business, and ultimately bring a better client experience to you, our client, whether it's a consumer or a small business. I want to talk a little bit about our business banking, because one of our key strategies at People's Bank is to become the bank of choice for small and mid-sized business. Now, I'll give you a quick example of how that happened in 2021. I mentioned PPP loans, and we did our share of PPP loans. But in 2021, now remember, 2020 was round 1 of PPP loans. 2021 was round 2. So I'm only going to refer to 2021, but we processed 822 PPP loans at 77 million. Our total aggregate at People's was about 180 million over all the PPP extensions, creating in 2021 loans, protecting almost 10,000 jobs in our community. And here's an interesting fact of this. The vast majority, 87% of our loans were done at 150,000 or less. So for small businesses and making a difference where, quite frankly, it really did matter. And so that was just one example. Also in 2021, we did 5 projects in our footprint, what we call community development loans at 11.6 million. So very active in the small business space. Now, making a difference in our community. This is a big deal. And you saw in the previous slides, the engagement of our employees, whether they're involved in volunteer work, whether they're involved in contributions, personal contributions to an organization, or perhaps sitting on a board. We have a lot of engagement with our employees. We encourage our engagement with our employees, and it's part of who we are and what we do. I'll give you some statistics. Our company last year, $1.7 million in giving to 188 organizations in our footprint. Say it again, 1.7 million. We also have a foundation, and Mr. Miller has already been introduced as president of our foundation, People's Bank Foundation. And so we have a foundation. So we're looking not only at the short run, but the perpetuity of our company and our contribution, but a very significant contribution in what we do to support not-for-profits in our community. 125,000 was the personal giving of our 347,000 employees, or excuse me, our 347 employees. A lot of teaching. You can see we're active encouraging our associates to go out and do mentor programs, whether it's junior achievement, other programs, very active in teaching, particularly the youth about financial wellness and responsibility. We had our volunteering 119 associates, almost 4,000 hours of contribution in volunteer time to our communities. Very significant. And mentoring, we have 14 men. Our list goes on and on. And why we're proud about that is because, first of all, we do it because of the success of our clients, because of the success of our company. But I'll take you back to that slide. It's about the success of our community. This is who we are. This is what we do and how the community benefits from our existence and our thriving in our community. Now, I told her I have time for question and answers. I don't know what my time looks like. Mike's saying, yes, I have a couple minutes. I can't comment on the change of water rates. That's JT, wherever you are. You'll handle that. We were comparing notes. Is there any questions I could try to answer for you? And yes, sir. So the question is, I'm supposed to repeat the question. There's a lot of individuals that have come in from out of the country in the United States who do not use paper checks anymore. Everything is some type of mobile app or electronic transaction. Do I see that continuing? Is that correct? Okay. The answer to that is yes, and it's going to accelerate. I was on a presentation yesterday with the Federal Reserve, and they have a program they're rolling out called Fed Now. And they're creating more rails where you simply have real-time payments and push a button. And I think once people realize they can push a button, you're going to see pressure on checks significantly. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, can you repeat? The question is, what do I see as the future of the traditional branch bank, correct? So there's been huge change in our business. And I'm sure I could get a number somewhere on the capital, the billions of dollars that banks have in infrastructure that date back. And there's a lot of reasons how we got to where we are. A lot of it was banking laws where you could only be in so many locations, and a lot of contributors to where we are as it relates to the overall branch network of banking. I do believe fundamentally that the traditional branch bank will continue to exist, albeit in a different format. I showed you a picture of our connection center. That's literally a 1,500 square foot location that does a lot of electronic connectivity for clients. It serves as both a sales and service type of environment. Obviously, people are still driving into our branches every day to cash checks and handle cash and things of that nature, but we watch those transactions closely. And in general, you'll see more and more of a shift to the mobile applications, which means more and more people are not using the bank for what the branch for what they did historically. So I do see some continued consolidation of branch banking, but I also think there's some place where it's going to level. I mean, you have a lot of the bigger banks who are opening offices right now. So it's kind of an odd time as retail networks resize themselves and people understand how clients are using their services. And there has been a dramatic shift. And I have to tell you, COVID really, in our experience at PeoplesBank, really accelerated the shift to electronic. It really accelerated it. People realized I can do this and I have the resources to do it. And it's a time factor as well as some other things. Jackie.
A lot of organizations have really
So the question is, a lot of employers are having a hard time attracting new clients or new associates and keeping them and engaging them with all the dynamics of COVID and hybrid and fair. Okay. Listen, we've had the same experience that everybody else has had, trying to understand what it means. I mean, in our business, we were considered an essential business. So in the most difficult times of COVID, we had to, use our retail teams had to go into our offices, even if it was drive-in only, they were in there working at a time when you were a little uncomfortable with what don't I know about COVID and what does this mean to me and my family and everything else. So we've had some pretty difficult challenges in that. And, the industry and the labor market has responded at different levels. And I think it's changing personally, as I mentioned a minute ago, but we've had to be really creative in how we look at our employees and what we do for our employees to retain our associates, to keep them engaged, to understand that what you do here really does matter, because it does. Somebody has their financial activities at the end of your transaction or what you're doing. That's really, really important for you as a consumer, as you would agree. So connecting those dots has been something we've been working on to understand the value of what we do. And you know what, looking back, and particularly in 20, when we were in the midst of it, we had a lot of our offices who were really proud that they were open and contributing, which was almost like what you want to see when you have to be open and you have to make it work for clients. So I think that there's no magic answer to this. One of the great things about a 3.5% unemployment rate is that you have a lot of options as employees, and people have been taking those options. So you just have to get better at what you do, and while you do it, and work harder to keep those employees. I do think over time, depending on how the economy performs here, you might get some upward pressure on that, but we're a long way from numbers that we saw in 2008-9, fortunately. Yes, sir. Any comments on the Bitcoin phenomenon? So I'm not I'll clarify, this is my comments, not the bank comments, all right? So all I know is what goes up comes down, right? And we're seeing that in a big way. I think it's, and I'm sure many of you are probably even probably some experts here today that could teach me a lot on it. I've been reading a lot on it, and I understand, why we need to have electronic currency and everything around that. I just don't see the Fed and others jumping in anytime soon from a banking perspective, saying we're ready to do this and, effectively make it legal tender. I don't see it in the near term. I mean, I think it points to the future in a big way. And obviously there's a lot of speculation in the market right now about it. And what's interesting is that, having read, some of you probably know this, but a lot of the investment houses won't touch it. They won't do it right now. So I'll say it's for personal indulgence. How's that for an answer? I'll tell you this, my kids probably have more cryptocurrency than their dad. I'll leave it at that. Well, listen, I thank you so much for your time today. I thank, as to the Rotary, thank you for all you do for making our community a better place. It was amazing sitting here hearing the stories. These things matter, and they are what make our community and our country great. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Craig, for taking the time to be with us today. I know, Larry, you're very proud of your company that you played a major role in building. And Craig, you're doing amazing work, and we thank you for your commitment to our community. The bank is a strong one and highly regarded in many markets. So thank you so much for all that you're doing, and we wish you much continued success. Craig has graciously signed the bookplate of the book, The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read by Rita Lorraine Hubbard, which we will donate to Alexander D. Good Elementary School. And next week, we'll hear from Wolfgang Confectioners President and COO, Sam Miller. You bought it, sold it, ate it. If you're from York County, all these things happen because you know Wolfgang Candy Company, big in schools, doing fundraisers. Sam will be speaking on the history of one of the York County's longest standing businesses. He's a York County native, and his presentation will focus on the history of the organization up to the strategic shift of the business model to include building a new vision and culture, along with redirecting the future of the business. Wolfgang Confectioners has been known as a 95-year-old startup. So come hear the story about who they are, what they've been doing, and we may even have a sweet surprise for you next week. So in closing, our quote is by Socrates. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Rotarians, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you again, guests, for being here. This meeting is adjourned.